It's not going live. It's not going live.
It is live.
Okay.
Wait. And then where's the other one?
I mean, they can see him when he's like this, but that's okay.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm very excited and I hope great. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here on alternative venues of jazz. Special thanks to Gail for giving me this great opportunity to be here, and thank you to everyone who is watching and listening to me. So, I'm Francesco Cataldo. I'm a composer, guitarist, and pianist from Syracuse, a beautiful town by the sea with a wonderful port. Today, I will tell you something about my life, my musical career, my albums, my music. Everything began, I can say, when I was 7 years old. My father suggested me to study piano. So I started studying classical piano until I was about 12 years old. Uh, I still remember the hours spent studying in my living room with my Yamaha upright piano, a great piano. Many hours a day, studying as all pianists, scales, arpeggios, and beautiful compositions by great masters such as Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Chopin. Chopin, in particular, made me dream always. Chopin's sweet melodies always carried me in a dream atmosphere when I was studying. So, as I slowly learned classical music, I began to discover also rock, pop singers of all genres. The Beatles were my first discovery, a wonderful discovery. The amazing voice of John Lennon, Paul McCartney, the sound of the group, their joy, energy, and above all, we can say the poetry that was in their songs. Um, in addition to the Beatles, I listened to Level 42, Bob Dylan, the genius Michael Jackson, and Stevie Wonder. All the music, from 80s and 90s. I found in each singer great energy and always inspiration for me. So when I was 13, I stopped playing piano and discovered the guitar finally. I bought my first classical guitar and then some electric guitars. So I started playing my favorite pop and rock songs. I was playing in rock bands with some of my favorite friends. Then I slowly felt the need to study classical guitar, and I found a great teacher here in Syracuse. Especially, I loved Bach. His wonderful compositions, full of harmony, very, very difficult to play, but really always amazing and fascinating. So, after the experiences of classical and rock music when I was about 22, I finally discovered jazz music. My first album was Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. We all know that this album was the best selling CD in the history of jazz and is still considered a milestone in history of jazz. So when I listened to it for the first time, very first time, um, I felt I was impressed not so much by the technique of the musicians, Miles, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, but by the feeling, I can say the sensation of spaces throughout the entire album. Miles' group creates, a unique sound on that album, a strong sound of each instrument. But above all, I love the silence, the pauses, and the way in which these great masters manage the silence between the notes. So I fell in love with this genre and improvisation. I discovered improvisation. I finally had the chance to express myself freely, studying new rules, the rules of improvisation. But finally, after classical music, I could express myself freely. So after Kind of Blue, I listened to and studied the great masters of jazz, such as Parker, Charlie Parker, Bill Evans, Sonny Rollins, and many others, up to the great genius Keith Jarrett, Jim Hall, the modern master of guitar, Pat Metheny, and many others, John Scofield. Um, I tried to study them and to understand how they sounded and their way of composing, but I was careful. I was careful because I tried to never copy them. I tried to maintain a distance from their language, way of playing, their sound, and their way. And all these masters have found their own voice, but I had to find my voice. So, after playing standards in jazz clubs around all over Italy, in 2005, I started composing and writing my own music. 2012, I had the opportunity to record my first album in New York with a great, amazing quintet with the bassist Scott Colley, the saxophone player Dave Bini, Salvatore Bonafede, pianist, is from Palermo, Sicilian, and the great drummer Clarence Penn. CD Spaces was the CD was titled Spaces and was released a year later on 2013. So I choose this title Spaces for my first album because I finally felt I finally found my inner space, my voice for the first time. CD Spaces includes 14 songs and I play electric and baritone acoustic guitar. So, thanks to God, the CD had great success and many reviews. I got many reviews, so many all over the world. And I'm still grateful for this fantastic experience, really. So while I was writing the arrangements for Spaces, I went back to piano and I haven't stopped playing piano since then. So the love for the piano has returned stronger than before, maybe stronger. So on piano, I also wrote the arrangements for the other compositions that I recorded in 2019. This time on my second album, I recorded my second album, Julia, titled Julia in Rome, with the great pianist and great one of my best friends, Mark Copland, the drummer Adam Nussbaum, and great bass player Pietro Leverato. Is from Genoa, is Italian. CD Julia was released in 2020, and this album, you understand from the title, this album is dedicated to my daughter Julia. On this album, I still play guitars, but in one song, Two Ways, titled Two Ways, I play piano solo, just for one song, Two Ways. So for the first time, I played my own song on solo piano on an album. It was my first time, my first experience. Uh, I still remember during the recording session of the Julia album, Adam Nussbaum uh, heard me playing my themes on the piano before recording, and I think he fell in love immediately with my piano playing and asked me to record another solo piano album. He told me, "Hey, Francesco, hey man, my friend, I love when you play piano, so uh, you must record an album piano solo. Please do. When Adam told me, said these words, I didn't believe. It was so crazy. I told Adam, just kidding, or are you serious? Adam insisted and told me, yes, you must record a piano solo album next time. So here we are, and I promised him. I wrote other songs after the album Julia, and I decided to prepare, record a new album, piano solo this time. And now this year came out my new album Amaranto, came out on March this year. So Amaranto is the title of my new album, but also the title of one of the 13 songs included in the album. Um, the album is dedicated to my dear friend Giuseppe Agosta, a great friend, my mentor, I can say. He passed away 3 years ago. Giuseppe was the director of Comunità di San Martino di Tours Association, an association of volunteers who helped and still help the poor here in my city, my town, Siracusa. Um, Many people asked me, "What's Amaranto? Why did you decide to this name?" Amaranto was and still is the color of the association's uniforms. And I was a volunteer in 2000 with them. I helped them. I worked with them. It was an incredible, wonderful experience. I always think about the Beatles' famous song "All You Need Is Love," very, very famous. And but Giuseppe really brought that message to us. All you need is love, and for me, it gained new meaning and importance every day. So, when we help the poor in Syracuse, Giuseppe taught us that uh, love is the highest value. We can say the key to resolving all conflicts and problems every day in life. We can say unconditional love. I can say love for humans, for nature, for the universe, and love for yourself too, especially yourself. Because only, I think only by loving yourself deeply can you give love to others. Amaranto, and in general, the other songs arise from my life experiences, encounters, always keeping in mind love as a universal value. So Giuseppe's death left me with enormous void. After years of studying jazz, so I decided suddenly to focus on a totally expressive way of writing and playing. Without the obsession with often sterile and useless technique, as it happens very often in music or genres. So I can say that I usually take inspiration from people, meetings, landscapes, but this time for the song Amaranto, I can tell you a very strange, I can say a funny story. I was inspired this time by a blackbird, first time. It was a beautiful afternoon, a sunny day. I was walking down the street in my town, a street full of beautiful trees, and suddenly I heard a blackbird singing "tarararararam, tarararararam," and it was incredible. I turned and again I heard the blackbird singing "tarararararam," just six notes. It was perfectly in tune, and it was wonderful. It sounded, like an instrument playing somewhere. Wow, I couldn't believe. The blackbird sang these six notes, repeating them several times. And so I ran home. I was very excited, opened my piano, and wrote the song, we can say, in a few minutes. The first six notes of the song, the same ones that the blackbird sang, incredible but true. The same notes as the first song on the album Prologue. So I played these 6 notes in Prologo and also in Amaranto. So I can say that it's the first time a bird has inspired me. A very funny story, but it's real. I don't know the meaning. I don't know. Maybe who knows? That blackbird was Giuseppe, maybe, who was smiling from the sky. Gave me 6 notes, a few notes, perhaps the sweetest and most beautiful notes of my life. The other songs on Amaranto are dedicated to life experiences, people I love, encounters, and many experiences and meetings. The album begins with a prologue and ends with an epilogue. I can say that all my albums, Spaces, Julia, and this new album Amaranto, have a prologue and an epilogue, a beginning and an end. When I prepare a new album, usually I always think of a book, a story. So I try to find, a fil rouge that can unite the songs as if they were chapters of a book, a novel, we can say. Uh, I believe that every artist must tell something, must tell a story. I remember while I was driving to the airport with Adam Nussbaum after recording the album Julia, we were in the car. I was driving, and Adam told me that you can play many notes, you can play a few notes, but the most important thing for an artist is to tell a story, always to tell a story. So I can tell you something about the other songs. I One of my favorite is Vito Raccontami, is another song included in this album Amaranto. It's dedicated to my grandfather Vito. So we can say that is another dedication, always dedication of love. Another song is titled Pictures. This song, for this song, Pictures, I was inspired by all the pictures I had and I have on the piano, my piano in my parents' house. And I still remember that when I was a child, I studied piano, and I often, while studying piano, I often raised my head and looked at these pictures. Each picture is with memory. So all these memories inspired the song Pictures. Then another song is titled Two Colors. Two Colors is dedicated to my favorite colors. My favorite colors are blue and green. However, the title refers not only to colors, but also to, in general, two things. Every time in life, in general, we have to choose between two things, two paths, two experiences, two important decisions. Our journey, another song, is dedicated to my father. I lived through many experiences with my father, and he was always at my side, trying to advise me, suggest me on what to do and what decisions to make in different situations. It's still a journey together, just as everyone's journey is with their own parents. uh, they accompany us in life, and take us by the hand and guide all life long. Better Days, another song, refers to the experiences I have lived, that we all live every day, to those situations in which we are in difficulty and we can't seem to find a solution sometimes. It happens very often. Then suddenly, when we empty our mind, we let ourselves go, and by just being silent, we always find, wow, a serenity, that peace inside that makes us find the right solutions and makes us hope for better days. Your Silence, another song, is dedicated to my dear wife, Asta. She's a very calm and thoughtful person, and uh, always she tries to solve problems peacefully. I can say she's a silent person, and in this silence, I see awareness, much, very much awareness every day. That awareness that helps us to rejoice, to appreciate the simple things in life. Therefore, the title refers to the simplicity of her beautiful smile. Beautiful. Another song is titled Empty Always. Is a very simple song dedicated to a school where I was teaching a few years ago. When the school year ended, I found one day I found it was June, the half of June. I found myself, in this huge, empty, and silent always, without students, no one. A strange, I can say, melancholic feeling, similar to the one we usually feel when an experience ends. And when we feel that melancholy inside, a sad but also pleasant feel. Uh, when I wrote the song, I had this vision, this image of the circles of life. Every experience, begins and ends, but still remains in our memory and in our heart. I told you that the album starts with the prologue and ends with the epilogue. So, prologue opens the album as a kind of introduction. I played, as I told before, the same notes, inspired by my my friend Blackbird, as I told before. And the same six notes I play also on the song Amaranto, dedicated to my friend Giuseppe. Then at the end of the album, Epilogo closes the album, and I can say that closes the entire story, this short musical journey. In my albums, I always imagine the end, the epilogue, as the moment in which the actors and actress on the stage, in the theater, say goodbye to people, the actors and actress tired after the show, after acting, but happy, satisfied with the show. The epilogue is the end, the moment of release after the artistic tension of the performance. Music is very, very important. I can say it's essential to find this alternation of tension and release, as it also happens in everyday life. So this is my story so far and my little adventure into the world of music. Uh, so after many years, without realizing it, I found suddenly myself playing piano. So changing from guitars, many years playing guitar, and suddenly I found myself playing a piano and recording a piano solo. It was a dream. It's strange. Seems that I'm playing piano like I played as a child again. So I am becoming a child again, maybe. I have always looked for spirituality, my inner spaces. I say the eternal child that we all have inside. And you know that I can say that I'm still looking for it, but I feel that it's already inside me, inside of all of us. Every time I feel, that kind of inner peace, that kind of joy of living, of loving, of playing, I always feel that this eternal child is inside of me. So my musical research is now connected, linked to the daily life, to people, to meetings, to nature. But above all, my music is connected to love. Years ago, I discovered a new experience. I studied slowly with the guitar every day with my fingers. After having used the pick for many years, I slowly, step by step, changed my technique and my way of playing. So playing by my fingers without pick, especially classical guitar, I felt a more intimate contact with the six strings. For years, I studied Bach pieces on the guitar, but not fast, but very, very slowly, note after note, as a meditation. And playing and breathing to clear, empty my mind. Now I've been studying for 4 years every day piano, and the same way, slowly. Usually every day when I warm up on the piano, I play, simple scales, arpeggios, but above all chords. I love chords, harmony, and I've discovered that playing chords and single notes very slowly gives me a kind of serenity and peace. In this way, it's a kind of yoga on piano. So for years now, I've been listening to very few music, very few, and doing a lot of meditation every day. I take long walks here in Ortigia, the historic center of my town, a beautiful place. I always try, while walking, I always try to empty my mind, to discover my essence more and more every day. Um, I love listening to music, but to be honest, I made this choice so as not to be influenced by other artists. So my goal is to search for inner peace and to express every step in music in a sincere and real way. I can advise young musicians. There are so many students, young musicians, great talents everywhere around the world. I can suggest them, especially those who are starting to study improvisation, jazz. I suggest to listen to the great masters, but at the same time, don't try to imitate them. Try always to look for your voice. I can say, look for your voice in the silence, in the pauses, and you will see that your voice will come out in your sound, in the sound of your instrument or your voice if you are a singer. And please don't forget that the inner voice is the most important goal of a musician, of an artist. You study much techniques, you get many skills, but your inner voice is the most important goal. These things for all artists, all musicians. Uh, Being an artist means, according to me, means playing and expressing who you are, not just your technique or your skills. I think technique must be at the service of your soul. So I suggest everyone to stay in silence every day, to find silence during the day. If you have possibility to have walk or to stay in your room, everywhere in nature, nature is very, very important. Is a big help to get to the point. I suggest to stop studying if necessary. Sometimes it's could be crazy, but it's like that. I suggest to stop studying if necessary. Sometimes I suggest to stop studying for some days, for a few days, in order to empty your mind, sometimes empty your ears. Um this was and still is my musical experience now. Uh, I can say is my life experience, and because my music experience and my life experience are now the same, are one. So I told a little bit about my story, and I thanks again, Gail, and everyone for giving me this great opportunity. I invite everyone to listen to my album Amaranto. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or available on all platforms. My website www.francescocataldo.eu. And what I can say, thanks, and I really hope I can give you beautiful emotions. I can give you beautiful vibrations, much joy with my music, and I hope I can give you, above all, much love. Thank you.